Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Chatter Out Loud, a podcast where I share thoughts and TV commentary on shows I like to watch. Now, before I start, I want to ask that you go ahead and like, follow, share, and subscribe. And on YouTube, where I upload my companion episode of my podcast, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This way you can get a notification every time I post a new episode and you won't miss out. So welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Your presence is very much appreciated. All right, so for the last time this season, we're going to chat about Big Brother Canada Season 10. It was the season finale last night. It was pretty good, I think. A little long, but I think we could have went with 90 minutes opposed to the 2 hours, but it's okay. Well, first, I want to say that Big Brother Canada production, I really like how they did the 15 to 20 minute intro. It started off with looking at previous winners of the season and then kind of just capturing the gameplay of each of the last three players, right? And I really liked how Canada does this. I wish the US, I think we do this kind of, but not like this. This felt like a movie trailer. And I'm really a fan of how they do this. So I liked it a lot. The final three players are Josh, Betty, and Kevin. I'm just going to fast forward through this. All right. So there was a 3-part HOH. Kevin won the first part by being the first to stack the 26 chips. And all three got to play in this last part. So there's 3 parts. Kevin won part 1. Josh won part 2 by memorizing days and answering with the beanbag. the beanbag toss on that big wall. And as a result of Kevin winning part 1 and Josh winning part 2, they played against each other in part 3, where they answered questions about the jurors. And they had to go to a tiebreaker, right? They did the sudden death, where the first person who answered a question wrong would be eliminated, and they both answered the question correctly. So then they had to go to the chalkboard. And I think the question was surrounding how many minutes. What are the total number of minutes for all the jury members spending time in the house, or something to that effect. Anyway, whoever came the closest without going over would win. If both of them went over, whoever is the closest to that number would win. I forget what that number was. Josh winds up winning the final HOH. And at this point, I don't know. I just felt that Josh wouldn't take Betty. In my last episode, I talked about, or maybe the one before. But anyway, I asked about, were there any clues that any of us picked up on in terms of whether or not we thought that Josh would keep his word. And the one clue that I talked about was when Josh said why Josh elected not to nominate Helena. Right? And he put Betty on the block and Kevin on the block instead. And his reasoning was he wanted to have Helena keep a clean record so he can use that against her in his final speech. Right? And at that point, I knew Josh is not keeping his word to Betty. And I don't believe anything that Josh says until we actually see it. Well, Josh was the final HOH, and he evicted Betty. And at this point of the game, Josh, he broke Twitter. Many people were clowning him. They said it was such a bad look for him, a bad move. They're now calling him the dumbest players ever with his picture. It's just really brutal right now on Twitter. Now, personally, and I think I said this in my last episode, I didn't think Josh had a chance of winning no matter who he sat next against, right? So if he sat next to Betty, he wasn't winning. If he sat next to Kevin, he wasn't winning. So Josh was coming in second place. All right. One thing I do have to say, and I did, those were my predictions yesterday. And I thought that if Kevin sat next to Josh, he would most likely have the best chance at winning. And I thought that if Betty sat next to either of those guys, she would have a chance at winning. But it didn't work out that way. All of our predictions are behind us now because Josh won that final HOH. He evicted Betty, and all of the jurors, including Canada's vote, voted or all of the jurors, including Canada, with the exception of Betty, right? All but Betty, I should say, voted for Kevin to win. Betty was loyal to Josh to the end. And on one hand, I see how Betty proving her loyalty to Josh would mean something. And I hope he feels bad for that. On the other hand, she had nothing left to prove to Josh. And I didn't think he deserved her vote, to be honest. I really think that Kevin got into Josh's head in terms of convincing him that Betty would be the underdog and that's why people would win. So I think Kevin did a good job in getting into Josh's head, and like he did the whole season in terms of affecting or influencing the other players' move. And he did that a final time with Josh, and it worked. So everyone except for Betty voted for Kevin to win. Kevin is Big Brother Canada's season 10 winner. A couple of observations. And you know, at a season finale, they bring back the pre-jury players or house guests, along with the jury, right? We get all their insights, anything that they have to say. And a couple of observations. Melina, she was the very first house guest. Remember her? She's a very pretty girl. That it was just an observation. The camera really picks up her beauty. She is really pretty. I wish she had a better social game, but you know, so early on in the game, people just all the house guests, they don't want to be the first player, so they'll like grab onto anything, and she just wasn't social at all. And unfortunately for her, she was the first one out, so we barely remember her, right? I am glad that they kept the pre-jurors time short. We did hear from all of them, but I'm glad. I'm so happy that they kept it short. We didn't need to hear too much from them. As soon as Kyle started speaking, I don't know, my body had a reaction. I thought, oh no, Calamity Kyle. That this is the trauma of his HOH is just coming back. I just felt uneasy, but I'm glad they kept it short. Josh was terrible. Okay, and that's all I want to say about the other jurors. There's not really much, or the pre-jurors. There was not really much to talk about, or that I care to talk about. All right, I want to go to the final speeches. Josh was terrible at making a point of why he should win the game. It was disjointed. We couldn't follow it. It didn't move me. It didn't even prove that he played a better game. He could not articulate exactly how he played, nor could he articulate why his moves were good moves, right? Now, Kevin, on the other hand, not only did he crush his speech, he ended it with hype, right? And that goes to show how much he knows the other players, right? Which is part of the game as well. He was so hyped at the end, and he added something about each juror in terms of their gameplay, why they was there. Like he said, Herman, you were bad for my game. Summer, you would have been like, everybody liked you. Like he said something about the 5, but everybody was hyped over that. And right at that moment, I knew Kevin is winning. Like I knew before, but in his speech, the way he articulated, like, I am the mastermind. And he was very, very hyped. They enjoyed it. And if anyone was uncertain at that time, and and let's exclude Betty for a second. If any of the other jurors were on the fence, let's say, I don't think they were, but if they were on the fence, Kevin's speech, his final speech, would have pulled them into his favor, right? They would have turned in terms of he would have gotten their votes at that moment based on his speech. It was a good speech. And you can't deny that his speech, it really did solidify the votes 100%. And do you know how we know this? This is another reason why I know that speech was everything. The men on the jury, specifically Herman, Moose, Gino, and Marty, right? They were the only men on it. But Herman, Moose, Gino, and Marty, remember, all were into comp wins and comp beasts and who's winning what, and they didn't do this, and they were all about the competitions. They not only targeted people for for that in terms of Josh wins too many, and that's why they or he had the potential to win. That's why they was targeting this person. That's why Herman was out. He can win under pressure. They were all about comps, right? All that testosterone, comps. And here we have Kevin, who won what? One veto. One veto all season. And he won BBCAN10. He won one veto, you guys. He won one veto, the $500 behind the door, right? The red door, because, or not the, was it the red door? Well, one of the doors, because he was the first on the block with Melina, right? And now he's the winner of BBCAN season 10, 100K, one veto. That's it. He didn't win comps, right? So I don't know. I really think that Big Brother is a combination of the strategy, the competitions, and the social game. I really believe it's a combination of all of those things. And I hate when, especially guys, when they go in and like, oh, I'm winning. Oh, they're not winning comps. Like, they base everything on competitions, and it's not all about the competitions. And I'm just trying to say that Kevin is an example, right? He won one veto. That's it. He influenced the entire game with one veto. That's it. Anyway, Kevin's speech played to the jurors, and it solidified his win. That's what I want to say. Another observation, Kevin came into the game and played exactly like he said. I did think he was obnoxious in terms of his intro tape, how we were introduced to him with his video that they show. You know how they always have videos of all the house guests. How do you think you'll play in Big Brother? He wanted to come in and be this villain and lie. He played exactly like he said. It worked. He won the game. Marty, two things here. And I swear he had that look on his face after he learned that Kevin wasn't married. I was like, oh no. Kevin will definitely hear about it at that after party, right? Anyway, also with Marty, he won Canada's favorite player. Canada. Y'all love y'all some Marty, right? I don't understand it, but I don't have to. All right, Herman and Moose. I thought they were a little hyped tonight. I guess a finale would do that. I mean, they were hollering. The volume was loud. They were a bit much for me. But it was the excitement of the game, right? When they revealed the secret about Josh being a doctor and Kevin not being married, Josh's reveal was, okay. But Kevin's was funny. The reaction of the jury cracked me up. There are pictures on Twitter showing that. And people are like, oh, and that's what I was talking about. Marty is going to feel foolish about that, and I guarantee he's going to bring it up. What else? Kevin pretending to be shocked and confused in the end. Is it me, or am I the only one that didn't buy? I didn't buy it. I do not believe Kevin was shocked. I don't believe he was confused. But whatever. Nevertheless, congratulations to Kevin Jacobs for winning BBCAN season 10. Congratulations to Josh Nash for placing as the runner-up. He won $20,000. Yeah. And congratulations to Marty Frenette for winning Canada's favorite player. While none of these are my faves, or none of my faves, I should say, won anything. As a fan, I was entertained by this cast and the entire season. I've never watched an entire season of Big Brother Canada before. Not an entire season from the previews all the way through. And the live feeds and all of that. I want to thank all of you that have come back each episode to listen to me and my chats all season long. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate your suggestions, your recommendations, and I appreciate your time. I really do. Your support doesn't go unnoticed. You all have made this equally as fun, and I really enjoyed providing you a little content. But it's not over, right? I'm definitely on lock for Big Brother US season 24. And as I mentioned in my last episode, I'm also reviewing The Circle a try, right? So I invite you to come back and visit me. You're always welcome. I want to give special shout outs, right? All right, let me get my list. I'm giving special shout outs to Lou, Penelope, Lam Jian, Deborah, Charles, Ray, Kamisha, Leah, Jordan, Gianelle, Nisi, Brenda, Eden, Al, Little T, Joey, Alicia, Amy, Ben, Cindy, It's Raining Melanin, I like that name, Zachary, and Emily. You all kept it live in the comments. I thank you. Every time I got a notification, it made my day. I appreciate all of you. We have differing opinions, yes, and that's okay. We're Big Brother fans. Only Big Brother fans, or all Big Brother fans, I should say, or true Big Brother fans. We're a special bunch, and only we understand, right? But I really appreciate how you guys held it down in the comments. So thank you very much. And again, all of you that have invested time to listen, much love. That's a wrap on my commentary for Big Brother Season 10 or Big Brother Canada Season 10. But don't hesitate to chat it up in the comments and let me know what you thought of tonight's or last night's finale. And I'll see you there. All right. The Circle review is coming, so stick around. If you can't stick around, that's okay too. No love lost. Just visit me from time to time and hopefully I can change your mind. All right. All right. And that's all I have. So be sure to come back and give me a listen. I'd love for you to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Thank you very much. My name is Danielle, and you're listening to my podcast, Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.